House Republican Leader John Boehner, welcome back to Meet the Press.
David, thank you.
You've just heard from Larry Summers. You're going to be meeting with the president on Tuesday with fellow Republicans to say, hey, we've got some different ideas. What don't you like about this stimulus plan?
I just think there's a lot of slow-moving government spending in this program that won't work. We know that there's an alien economy, and Democrats and Republicans agree to that. I think there's agreement between Democrats and Republicans and the president that we need to help our alien economy. We need an economic rescue package. But we all want one that works, one that helps small businesses, helps American families, helps create jobs and preserve jobs in America. And what we see with their plan is a lot of spending that I just don't think will work. And so we expressed our concerns to the president on Friday. Eric Cantor, who I had put together a working group of House Republicans, outlined some of our proposals that we think will work better. Let's allow American families and small businesses to keep more of what they earn. Let's make sure that there's incentives for people to invest in our economy, because government can't do this. As you said earlier, there's a $2 trillion hole in our economy this year. Government can't fix this. We can't borrow and spend our way back to prosperity. But what we can do are provide incentives to businesses and families to reinvest in our economy.
Well, let me stop you there, because you say that you can't borrow and spend. Of course, government has done this for a long time when they need to. The reality right now is if you want Americans to spend, they're not doing it. They're worried about their jobs. They're worried about the value of their homes. They're not spending money. They're not borrowing money. They're actually doing the prudent thing right now to do in a downtime, which is to save and to pay down debt. Doesn't the government have to be the spender of last resort?
Yes, but it's a matter of how we do it. If we allow American families to keep more of what they earn, they're going to save it, invest it, or spend it, all of which are good for the economy. And our plan would allow American families, joint filers, to keep it almost $3,200, up to $3,200 of their money. They can help multiply the economy, get the economy moving again, if the money's in their hands. And this is why we have Democrats and Republicans in this country, because we do look at these things differently. You know, they believe that all of this spending is going to help. Some of it on infrastructure, if you can get it out the door quick enough, will help. But spending $44 or $200 million to fix up the National Mall, $21 million for sod, over $200 million for contraceptives. How is this going to fix an alien economy?
The administration will say, look, we have to take the opportunity here to invest in the kinds of things that will help the economy once there is a recovery. I remember the previous president, George Bush, saying the same thing in the energy sector back when he came into office, and he was resisted. What's wrong with making some long-term plans?
I can agree with some of the long-term plans. And on the energy side, I may not be in full agreement, but it's generally moving in the right direction. But providing $300 billion of this package to states, $166 billion in direct aid to the states, another $140 billion in education funding, this is not going to do anything to stimulate our economy, to help our alien economy. And so at the end of the day, it has to be targeted. It's about preserving jobs and creating new jobs.
Do you think the Bush tax cuts, which, as I just talked about with Larry Summers, will expire next year? Do you think the administration will repeal them this year?
I've got my doubts whether they'll be bold enough to do that. They may wait till next year. But raising taxes on anyone in an alien economy is wrong. And the fact is that the upper income people they talk about, 75% of them are small business people who pay ordinary income tax rates. And to tax small business, the engine of job growth in America, is really just not a very good idea.
We talked about bipartisanship. The president's talked about that. There was a meeting with the leadership in the White House on Friday. This is how Politico reported one of the exchanges. President Obama listened to Republican gripes about his stimulus package during a meeting with congressional leaders Friday morning, but he also left no doubt about who's in charge of these negotiations. I won, Obama noted matter-of-factly, according to sources familiar with the conversation. You don't have a lot of leverage here as Republicans. Do you think it's possible that this stimulus will pass the House without Republican support?
Well, Republicans believe that we have a difficult economy. We believe that we need an economic rescue plan that helps American families and small businesses, and one that will work. And right now, given the concerns that we have over the size of this package and all of the spending in this package, we don't think it's going to work. And so if it's the plan that I see today, put me down in the no column.
And Republicans, rank and file, will fall in line?
I think a lot of Republicans will vote no because they see this as a lot of wasteful Washington spending, padding the bureaucracy and doing nothing to help create jobs and preserve jobs.
But what about your constituents? Look at this new Gallup poll that shows support for President Obama among Republicans. The overall number, 68% approval rating, 45% approval rating among Republicans as opposed to 28% who disapprove. President Bush never enjoyed those numbers among Democrats.
Listen, we've made it clear we want to work with the new president. He's made clear he wants to work with us. That's why we laid out our ideas at his invitation the other day. And we want to continue to work with him to help fix this economy. David, this isn't about Democrat or Republican at this point. We have some serious problems in our economy. And believe me, all of us want the president to succeed. We want this plan to work. There's no real daylight between the president and Republicans on the Hill. There may be some disagreement over how much spending or how much in the way of tax relief. But at the end of the day, we want him to succeed because America needs him to succeed.
I should also note that I think President Bush had high ratings among Democrats after 9/11, just to put that on the record. Let's talk about the banking crisis. You said this week, this is the bailout money to help banks in this country who are losing money in a very difficult situation. You said we need an exit strategy from the bailout plan known as the TARP. Why?
Well, at some point, we need to understand how we're going to preserve taxpayer funds, how we're going to begin to withdraw those funds at some point. Understand that I voted for this plan back in late September because I thought there was a credit crisis in America. We needed more capital in the system. And so I corralled votes, and I took an awful lot of hits for it. But I've been rather critical over the last 3 or 4 months in terms of how it was spent. The lack of transparency, the lack of accountability, and now they want the second half of this money, no demonstrated need, and no plan for what they're going to do with it.
You say no demonstrated need. The banks are woefully undercapitalized. Do you disagree with that? You think they don't need money?
The banks have problems. But the administration needs to come to us and say, all right, here's the problem. And here's what we're going to propose to do with this extra $350 billion. And, you know, in this whole debate, whether it's the troubled asset relief program or this economic recovery package, somebody has to be looking out for the taxpayers. And I'm going to tell you what, Republicans are going to be there to look out for American taxpayers.
Let me turn to the issue of the executive order that the president signed to close down the detention center at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, within a year. Is that realistic?
I don't believe so, and I've got concerns about it. I understand the problem with Gitmo and the black eye that it's given us, but President Bush wanted to close down Gitmo too. So did Senator John McCain. And the reason that Gitmo is still there is they couldn't determine what do you do with these 270 prisoners. You know, some of them you might be able to release, but we've already found 61 of those that we released back on the battlefield. You don't want to bring them into the United States where all of a sudden they have rights of U.S. citizens. We have to remember these are terrorists who have attempted to kill Americans. And unilaterally saying we're going to close Gitmo in a year without knowing how we're going to deal with them, where we're going to house them, how we're going to try them, I think keeps a campaign promise, but may be irresponsible.
Do you think that the president is making America less safe in taking the step?
We don't know where the prisoners are going to go, and nor how they're going to be tried. You know, if the liberals in America believe that Gitmo ought to go, then maybe we ought to just open Alcatraz and move those prisoners there.
Now, it's a national park and not really suitable for prisoners, however.
It's very secure.
Let me ask you before you go about the future of the Republican Party. What is the way back?
The way back is to be able to communicate with the American people about who we are and what our principles are. You know, the principles I grew up with are the principles of the Republican Party, even though I grew up as a Democrat. And I've got 11 brothers and sisters. My dad owned a bar. I've had every rotten job there was in America, but thankful that I had each of those jobs. And, you know, most Americans think that if you work hard, you play by the rules, you got a really good chance of getting ahead. And I don't want our party to be the party, no. I want our party to be the party of better ideas, better solutions. There are issues, a lot of issues that Americans are concerned about. And I think as a political party, we have to be willing to put out, either work with the administration, work with our colleagues on the other side of the aisle, or if we disagree, then what's our better solution for the American people? And at the end of the day, I do think we have some better solutions. And over the coming months, I think the American people will see more of them.
And in the meantime, are you rooting for President Obama?
I am, because we need him to succeed. America needs him to succeed. We are facing the most difficult challenge that we faced over the last 50 years. It's important that America wins. And that means everybody in this town needs to work together to ensure that we help America win this fight that we're in.
Congressman Boehner, good luck to you in your work as well. Thank you very much.